Catus Maximus here, this time with the Harbor Freight Pittsburgh 22-inch super extra long handle screwdrivers. This is both a pair of screwdrivers. Let me flip them around here. I have to have the tripod so far away you couldn't even see them when they're almost 2 feet long. We have both the Phillips and the slot head, if this would focus for us. This is they only sell them in the number 2 Phillips and then the standard 1/4-inch slot head. And they are actually really reasonably priced, like $7 for the pair. They're like $3 or $4 a piece. And for having such a long handle, they're really pretty competitively priced. That's the only way to really say it, because these things are like 20 bucks, and I have an Napa one to compare to. If we look at the handles, they have an interesting texture, but I do like them because that does protrude, and that is a deep texture. So if you have grit and dirt on your hand, you can still actually turn these reasonably well. It's surprising. Oftentimes this rubberized coating can get kind of slick. Another thing that's nice is because it's overmolded, the size is actually hard plastic, so this sizing will never wear off on the screwdriver, but obviously the tip will wear first. They don't have the ability to attach a wrench or have any type of hex, so that's one thing to mention. And they're not super heavy duty. They're not really meant for chisel use, but Harbor Freight does sell a big screwdriver that's for chiseling use. And they generally have nice ergonomics. Now, the one thing that I will also mention is that they've really properly done the tips. If we look at this Phillips tip, it really has a good machine work on it, and we can see if we use like a standard kind of drywall type of screw here, and these are in excellent condition like new, you can see that it will hold the screw just fine. It actually sits on there just nicely, really evidencing the nice cut. So these, as long as you keep them straight in the fastener, they'll work really well. And that's really the issue with having such large and long screwdrivers like these, is being able to keep them straight, which is nearly impossible to do. But they're very handy, not just when you need to reach somewhere quite deep, but also just so that your hand doesn't have to be so close. In interior work, you can really have one hand just holding the bit and the other one way down here, and really just be able to manipulate the screwdriver quite a bit more ergonomically in a variety of situations. We'll take a close look. They did properly roll form the slot head tip. You know, slot heads, they do this for 2 reasons. One, you know, you get a nice serration, so they do hold in a little better. And the second reason is it's a roll form forging process when it squishes out the tip of the screwdriver and increases the wear resistance and the strength of the tips. Although I'm sure these aren't, you know, as strong as a real professional grade screwdriver for the price, and being able to have a lifetime warranty, they're pretty hard to beat. So one thing I will mention is that the beams just aren't the strongest. And let's go ahead and compare against the Napa. We have a American-made Napa DP20. What's also interesting is this screwdriver was $20. This is an 18-inch screwdriver. So if we match the handles, well, we'll go and match the tips because it's easier to see that way. It's about a handle shorter. And this was, you know, more than twice the price of just one of both of these screwdrivers. I do like the handle on the Napa better, and I will have to say that, and it's an empirical test doing a bend test, but it's real obvious that this Napa has a harder, stronger steel than the Pittsburghs. Let's go and actually measure that. Let's see if part of the deal is because they use a thinner shank. What I have here, 236, and on the Napa 245, 244, 8 thousandths thicker on the Napa, but that wouldn't make it that much more rigid. And I will have to say, on these Harbor Freights, you do notice that you can feel them twisting, so you get a little bit of a spring action, and then the fastener will pop free. And so that's something to mention. The Napa is much more like just a regular screwdriver where you don't have that spring tension, but on these Pittsburghs you can feel that happening. And so I did want to make note of that. The other thing I was going to say that I was pretty happy with, if we spin it, it's kind of hard to see on camera, but they were pretty straight. Actually, the first Phillips I grabbed off the shelf was really straight, and the first slot head was a bit bent, but the second one was totally straight. And so I did want to point that out. I mean, it's kind of difficult to see on the camera because I can't get the angle. But they were, I was pleasantly surprised about that, because usually, especially with long tools like that, it's impossible to find one that's really straight. And so I was really pleasantly surprised. Anyway, there was just a short little review of the Harbor Freight Pittsburgh 22-inch super extended handle screwdrivers. These aren't the professional grade, but they work out great. And with the lifetime warranty, they can save you from a sore neck or a sore back. Certainly can do work that would be very difficult or impossible otherwise because of how long they are, as well as the overall build quality, which actually seems surprisingly consistent. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Catus Maximus out.